Okay. So today I am joined by the beautiful and hilarious Shannon. And we are
Hi.
hello. Shannon introduced the book that we're about to read and react to, Dungeon Crawler Carl, to me not all that long ago. And in fact, we have the first two chapters in the Discord. Um, and I've only read a couple, like 2 or 3 pages of it, and I am just intrigued and want to read and talk about it. Mostly because Shannon wants me to, um,
Absolutely.
because I clearly haven't read all that much of it.
I
Um,
figure, two chapters. This is very much my drug dealer's pitch, where it's like the first one is free, right?
mhm.
To get you good and hooked on it. And then, if you want the rest, you obviously have to buy the book. But,
Yes,
I mean, it's a
exactly.
fantastic book. So,
So how did you come by Dungeon Crawler Carl, Shannon?
oh, shit. Okay. So I heard about it from my brother. My brother and I, he does not read romance in the way that he doesn't consume romance, but he doesn't read like elf porn, which is totally fine. It's
To each their own.
it's a billion-dollar industry. No shame in it. But that's not his bag. But we are both very much like sci-fi, fantasy, action sort of oriented readers also. So in my mind, I'm like, if it's a sci-fi and I get to like see some beautiful like fey man ravishing some beautiful awkward human woman, so much the better. um
Hmm.
but no, dude, so like my brother called me and he was like, hey, have you ever heard of this book? And I was like, no, should I have? And he was like, fuck. So he like went off, because we get really excited and we geek out about books together. So he was like, okay, first of all, you have to get this book. I'll sit on the phone with you while you purchase it because I want to make sure that it's done. Do not lie to me. I was like, oh my God. So it's on Kindle Unlimited. But
Okay.
I got the first two books just like to download or whatever. And he was like, now you have to go and you have to buy the audiobooks. And he was like, and if you don't want to pay for it, I'll send you money right now. I'll PayPal you money right now. You have to listen to the books along with like reading it. And I was like, okay. Um, so I was like, okay, he doesn't usually get this excited about something. I was like, I should probably pay attention. And yeah, I downloaded the book, and it was the same thing. I downloaded the first two. I got about 5 minutes into listening to the book, and I was like, fuck. And I bought literally all six books like
Hmm.
immediately. I returned the downloads. I purchased the books because I was pretty confident that I was going to want all of them. So there are seven books that are out right now in the series,
Seven
but only the
books.
first,
Okay.
yes, but only the first six have the audio released for it. The seventh book, I'm sorry, the audio for the seventh book is coming out in February. So, but yeah,
Okay.
that's how I heard about it from my brother. He was massively excited about it. There was a series a long time ago that he and I also read together. It was called Monster Hunter International,
Hmm.
by Larry Correa. And it was something that we bonded over as well. Just it was like it's pretty macho, like a super macho kind of
Okay.
like lots of guns and killing monsters. And I'm like, yep, that is my jam. So
Huh.
that was how I heard about it, and it was an instant. It was like I don't know how. I can't express you how quickly I fell in love with this freaking book. So,
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's by Matt Dinniman, who is a
mhm.
writer and artist from Gig Harbor, Washington, which is surprisingly close to me, being
Yeah,
here in Seattle. This seems to be the series he's most known for. Um,
correct.
but he tends to write kind of apocalyptic
Oh yeah,
fantasy and sci-fi,
that is
is
his
what I've
jam.
read.
And lit RPG.
Right, yes. And then the audiobook, which you just like keep crooning about and won't stop, is written or is read, voiced by Jeff Hayes, who has
Awesome.
done a lot of stuff. Apparently over 200 audiobooks I'm seeing here.
He
Um,
is so talented, and so his whole thing, his whole like platform is sound booth audio
theater, yeah.
sound booth theater. Um, and it's like him and a lot of other voice actors,
Uh-huh.
and that is his company. And it's oh God, he's just incredibly talented. I can't like there's something there was something that he had done for book 7
Mm.
where he was trying to get like the right tonal quality for this character that he was voicing. And the only
Uh-huh.
way he could do it was if he gargled yogurt.
What the
He's dedicated, is what I'm trying to say. The man is dedicated.
wow,
I
incredible.
love him. Yeah. So he's I fangirl over voice actors. I'm just a I love cartoons and
Mm-hmm.
voice acting and doing stupid voices myself. So like I don't know. I'm just like super impressed by this guy. He's just fantastic.
Yeah, they're great.
So
Um,
he voices, I would say, do you remember how Kronk sounded in um
Emperor's New Groove.
yeah, where he's like, I made
Oh,
spinach
you
toast.
mean talking like this? I guess I could talk like that.
No, you don't have to, but
I
that's
I
sort
don't
of
have
like how I
it.
envision like it's like it's what is his name? Patrick Warburton light. If
Oh.
Patrick Warburton is like
Yeah.
whole milk, then what Jeff Hayes does is like 2%.
Okay. So, on Audible, I'm seeing some of the titles of the books. So there's Dungeon Crawler Carl, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, and
Ah,
then came the Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook,
cookbook. Yep.
uh, The Gate of the Feral Gods, The
Excellent.
Butcher's Masquerade, which just has
One of the best.
terrifying cover art. It's just, it looks
Yeah.
like Carl maybe holding someone's head above him.
It's a sex doll's head. It's fine.
Oh, okay. The image on my screen is very small.
Her name is Samantha. She is
Okay.
wonderful. She might be
Um,
my favorite
he
character.
has a goat in a wizard's robe and a cat with huge, way too big aviators on either side of him, and then behind him
Tente,
are
Princess Donut.
yeah. Oh, that is okay. Good to know Princess Donut survives because I actually know who that character is. And oh, and I see her on what looks like another cover. Okay. And then behind him is just a bunch of like mantid looking
Yep.
creatures
Yes.
with titties maybe that are
Yeah,
about to
some of them
slash
have.
him. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's book 5 anyway. And then there's the Eye of the Bedlam Bride, which I don't know what that means, but it looks like
Donut is definitely
donut
playing some Magic the Gathering, and one of the
with a
cards
sailor
is
hat on
yeah,
or a
yes.
saucer. I'm not sure. Anyway,
It's a
the
sailor's hat. She is into hats. She's
the
got a thing for him.
yeah, and he's got like a little microphone coming in front of her.
Yes, and that will make perfect sense once you get to that book.
Okay.
It
Each
helps
of
her to auto
these.
tune because she's a bard class. At
Oh
what
my
point? I'm
god.
sorry. Okay.
Oh, so the characters have like Dungeons and Dragons classes.
Yes, but they're also
Okay.
Earth specific classes. Like one of the classes that their
Hmm.
companions, as you read along, one of the companions who you will meet in a later book, her class is monster truck driver, which is considered an Earth based class, but it's
Yeah.
she's a big old tank, is what it
Yeah.
is. So
Interesting. So the audiobooks it looks like are between 12 and 27 hours long.
yeah.
Depending on which book you're reading, which is a nice long read. Um Okay. So I guess is there anything you want me and our listeners to know before we dive into reading this and reacting as we go?
Um, no, I can't think of anything that I would preface this with other than to say it is hilarious. It's action packed. It's very you have to. If I had to describe it in one way, I would say it's very much like Hunger Games slash like The Running Man
Uh-huh.
meets Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy meets uh like Dungeons and Dragons and like World of Warcraft and like role playing games. It's like if they all got together in some unholy orgy and made like a book baby, it would be this book. It's fucking awesome.
Incredible. Incredible. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start reading.
Right
Feel
on.
free to interrupt me as we go if you have anything like you want to just immediately dive into, but otherwise I'll read and then decide when I want to stop and talk about
Yeah.
it. But the one thing that caught my attention and I think made me decide I was intrigued enough to read this was in fact this little in the forward. There's this like,
Okay.
thanks to all of my readers, especially those of you who have stuck with me through all the years, and I'd like to toss out an extra special thank to all my donut holes over on Patreon, especially so and so, so and so, so and so, and your mom. I don't know if your mom is just like the online name, like alias of someone that is one of these donut
Oh no, it
holes,
definitely isn't. He
or is
wants
it
you to know that he got with your mom,
okay?
all of your
Great,
individual
good.
moms.
That's what I thought. So, the sense of humor is already there for me. Let's dive in. The transformation occurred at approximately 2:23 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's very early in the morning. As far as I could tell, anyone who was indoors when it happened died instantly. If you had any sort of roof over you, you were dead. That included people in cars, airplanes, subways, even tents and cardboard boxes. Hell, probably umbrellas too, though I'm not so sure about that one. Okay. Whew. I'm stopping already. Paragraph 1. Something
Yep.
happened that for this character in the world and his area of the world was when no one was awake or paying attention. Nobody seemed to know what happened. People were dying instantly and indiscriminately or randomly based on the criteria of whether or not you were inside or not. We don't know what this is, but we're already hooked. What could have done this? What kills everyone that's inside but not outside? And
Yep.
why was this guy lucky enough at 2:23 a.m. To have not had this happen to him? And like even this like suspicion of like, well, it's not even necessarily indoors. It's like the concept of being indoors, tents and cardboard boxes, even
Yep.
umbrellas. So it's just like any kind of covering.
Yeah. If
Uh,
there was something over your head, then you were reclaimed,
right.
basically.
And we're left at the end of the very first paragraph with, I'm not a reliable narrator.
Well,
I'm
not
not
necessarily. It's
sure.
just that,
I'm
he
not
didn't see any umbrellas at the time, so he couldn't be a,
right, but
well,
he's just
you know,
like, I don't know a lot about it, but it happened.
absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie. You guys who were inside, probably warm and asleep and dreaming about some random bullshit. I'm jealous. You're the lucky ones. You were just gone, splattered into dust during the transformation. Still mysterious. It was a Tuesday, and the calendar had. Okay, so he doesn't know a lot, but he knows it was a Tuesday. Great, cool.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
calendar had just ticked over to January 3rd. A terrible winter storm had descended on North America, and half the country was buried in snow and ice. In Seattle, wink, wink, we didn't have too much snow that night, but it was well below zero. That is not common in Seattle for things to drop below zero.
Right. And he says, which
Oh
was
yes,
unusually
was
cold.
unusually cold even for January. Thank you. I need to just keep reading. I'm sure in other parts of the world where it was warmer and not in the middle of the night, many more people survived. Many more. So this dude's from an unlucky area, but managed to survive among the unlucky ones.
So, but if you notice, he says many other parts of the world. This was a worldwide event. This wasn't
Yes.
just Seattle that this happened in. He's painting a picture where it's like it happened everywhere and all at once. And on the opposite side of the world, there was daylight, and it was probably warmer in some places. So they may have been outside anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was unfortunate timing in Seattle at the time of the event.
Yeah. Um I having read a couple like more pages, I'm getting the sense that this guy kind of bemoaning himself as unlucky is a theme. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
Not necessarily.
Or
That feeling of unlike. Well, you know what?
well,
Maybe.
let's read about it and we'll
Yeah.
talk
Keep
about it.
reading. Yeah. Absolutely.
I also bet most of them were probably wearing more clothes than I was at the time of the incident. I'm unlucky. And those assholes were smart enough not to go into the light. Ooh, another mystery part of the hook. Me, I didn't have a choice. Like I said, it was below freezing. I was outside and I was wearing boxers, a leather jacket, and a pair of pink Croc sandals that barely fit me. I was also holding a crying, scratching, squirming, and spitting cat named Princess Donut the Queen Anne Chunk. She was a tortoiseshell Persian cat worth more than I made in a year. My ex-girlfriend called her Princess Donut for short. I just stuck with Donut. Okay, let's talk about Princess Donut the Queen Anne Chunk. So the implication is that because this cat is so expensive that his ex had this cat and that she
Mhm.
made a lot more money than him.
Yeah. So, this is something that is mentioned in a later, further paragraph about Donut. Is that she's a show cat, and show cat,
Oh,
like,
right.
there's a lot of money in it, and B and
Yeah.
her parents are breeders, specifically of Persian cats.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So there was a familial connection to getting the cat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and Princess Donut is a goddamn champion. So,
So if the girlfriend calls her Princess Donut and Carl calls her Donut, who gave Donut this name, Princess Donut the Queen Anne Chunk?
oh, I mean, B, absolutely. There's a long line of food names in Donut's family tree.
Oh.
I think her grandma was named something like, Madam Cream Puff, and it's a.
Oh, we need to
I can't remember
connect
her grandmother's name now. Hey, I'll look it up.
we need
But
to
it,
connect Andy and this family of food named characters.
but yeah, but they are. But there is a familial aspect to it, and Princess Donut is a show cat, and she knows it. she
Yeah.
knows she knows she's hot shit. So.
Okay. I love this next line. So let me back up about 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Such a short amount of time. Like, why didn't we just start there? I won't bore you with too much backstory, but some of these details may be important. I'm uncertain, but they might be. My name is Carl. I'm a 27-year-old. After a stint in the US Coast Guard, I ended up working as a marine tech, fixing electrical systems for rich assholes and their party boats. I, up until a few days before this started, lived with my girlfriend in our apartment in Seattle. I'm noting a interesting relationship between this guy and money. Rich assholes. This cat is
Oh
worth
yeah.
more than I make in a year. Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Um, I have to give Nova a bone because a
Do
bone
it.
appetit was just redeemed by our good friend of the show, Temer.
Hey, Timmer.
Hey, Tem. Let me get the puppy cam up here for you, and we'll get Nova Bean her treat-out. We don't need to look at my legs. We just want to look at Nova. Come on, baby. Good girl. There we go. She's got it. She's a little
Nice.
nervous right now because people above us are making some noise. She's been a little on edge all day. That's okay.
Well,
All right. My girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, her name was Beatrice. B. She went to the Bahamas for a New Year's thing with a bunch of friends. She didn't tell me her ex-boyfriend went along with her on the trip. I figured it out pretty quick when I saw a picture of her sitting on his lap on Instagram. I don't like drama, and I don't deal well with it. Interesting comment. Whether she was actually cheating on me or not, it didn't matter so much. She'd lied. So I called her up, and I told her we were done. I promised I'd have all her stuff ready for her to go when she got back. No drama, no fuss, but we were done. She went to the Bahamas with a bunch of friends. She didn't tell me her ex-boyfriend went along with her on the trip. She'd lied. had she lied or did she just omit information? I guess to
Lying by omission
yeah, to
is still
Carl,
technically
omission
a
is
lie.
lying. So he's got like a very either skewed or strong or both um morals system. Um
Yeah, maybe.
yeah. I also like that the paragraph begins with I don't like drama and I don't deal well with it, and then segues into the like whether or not she actually cheated on me, it didn't matter. Um because he starts with the like self information of like I don't like drama. I don't know if like this is going to come up a lot more, the fact that he doesn't like drama and how that relates to what's going to happen to him and his relationships with other characters and the drama that surrounds
Oh,
them.
absolutely. It
Okay.
100%
Yeah,
does.
I
Yeah.
mean the author could have written whether or not she actually cheated on me or not, it didn't matter. I don't like drama and I don't deal well with it. So
He could
like
have,
so
but
like that
this
was a
is the voice
choice.
of Carl. This is the voice
Right.
of Carl,
Yeah,
absolutely,
he's
where he's like,
starting with sharing about himself
yep, he's
and
like, I
then
don't like
like
it.
as like a hey, you need to know this. This is going to come up later and oh hey, yeah, back to my ex-girlfriend thing. Like
But more importantly, so that's the thing is like there wasn't a picture of her kissing her ex-boyfriend or anything like that, but she was sitting on his lap. So like
mhm.
he doesn't know, hey, did the
And
ex-boyfriend
he
just come
doesn't
along
care.
for whatever reason? Is he just a friend? But it's like it feels like if the ex-boyfriend was going to come along on this trip with her friends, that's something that she probably should have disclosed to him if she didn't want him to be suspicious or whatever about their history. And then on top of that, it's like I don't even you could have cheated, maybe you didn't, but at the same time, it's
Yeah.
like I see you sitting on his lap. I don't know if you're trying to get a rise out of me, but I don't fucking like it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
think most importantly, we're getting characterization of Carl as someone who's like, I don't need to know all the facts. I know what I'm about and what I'm not about, and I will act
Oh
on
yeah.
it. Like I'm a man of action. I'm not afraid to make a call, make a choice, and go with it.
Well,
Um,
yes, but as the choices become more difficult as the book continues, that
mm,
certainty, there that comes into question a little bit
Right.
as
I mean,
the
we're
yeah.
getting the first level of character here.
Oh
So
yeah.
obviously we're going to juxtapose what he's saying here with everything that follows. But I'm just yeah, this is what we're getting of Carl. This is how he is choosing to frame himself with his own inner monologue.
Yep.
Okay, so B, she'd asked her parents to come and get the cat. But they lived on the other side of the Cascades. Yeah, big mountain barrier. And nobody was getting through any of the passes with this weather. So I promised I'd look after her until Beatrice got back. So let me tell you about Donut, the cat. Like I said, she's one of those fluffy, flat-faced cats that look like they need to be sitting on the lap of a Bond villain. B and I shared a 2-bedroom apartment, and one of those rooms was dedicated to the cat, if that tells you anything. More specifically, the room was devoted to Donut's best in show ribbons, her best in breed ribbons, and the countless trophies and framed photographs of her sitting on a table, looking all fuzzy and pissed off while B and a judge stood behind her. B probably had 50 of the pictures. She'd won a mess of ribbons and trophies and photographs pretty much every time Beatrice took Donut to an event. And B took that damn cat to a show almost every weekend. So, sensing a bit of bitterness towards the cat, as a
Well,
vector of bitterness towards his ex. But I'd also love to hear the audio book of this to like really get that sense of tone. Like, where is his voice at and emotion when we're reading these? It's fun as a reader to be able to choose how to interpret and make meaning of that.
it's just him kind of grumbling about this.
Mm,
It's like the Yosemite Sam Razafracka, like kind of this damn cat or whatever kind of a thing. But even a couple paragraphs further, he expresses how his admiration for the cat. So it's more, I
aw.
think, about the cat shows in general.
Yeah. We have officially reached territory that I have not read yet. So
Oh hell
we're in.
yeah!
All right.
Okay.
Her whole family was into raising and showing Persian cats. Me, I didn't really know much about that whole cat show world. I didn't want to get too involved. Like I said, I don't do drama. Oh, getting involved with your girlfriend's family is drama. Okay, got it. Interesting. Or maybe there's something dramatic about their family. Um, and let me tell you something about cat people. More specifically, cat show people. Actually, never mind. Fuck those guys. All that's important is Bee and Donut were all part of this whole world I didn't want anything to do with. Okay, I get it. Yep, understood. And then this is underlined in my PDF. I'm not sure why. I never considered myself a big fan of cats, but if we were being truthful here, I liked Donut. That cat did not give two shits about anybody or anything, and I could respect that. Okay, here's what you
So,
were talking about, respect for a
so it's
cat.
absolutely. So it's underlined because this was, I was reading it on my Kindle and I had copied it from my Kindle so I could
Oh,
send you guys the first two
oh, I
chapters.
see.
And that
Okay.
means that this is a passage, it's sort of dotted underneath. It means this is a passage that has been highlighted many, 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 many,
Uh,
many times by other readers. So they
okay.
will helpfully like kind of highlight or underline those lines where other readers have found this to be like a point of interest,
Yeah,
something they want to
especially
recall later.
right. Especially like looking ahead to the cover art of these other Carl Dungeon Crawler Carl books and noting
Yeah,
that the cat is there and as you pointed out like a recurring and important character. I feel like this line is really like here is where we are starting with a really important character relationship.
absolutely.
So
Oh, maybe the most important relationship in Carl's life.
Interesting. Well, yeah, moving forward for sure.
Absolutely.
Especially with
Yeah.
everyone around him being just annihilated during the transformation.
Yeah.
It would be interested to know if the being covered applied to all animals as well, and the transformation. Well, maybe we'll find
Uh,
out later.
you will find out.
Okay. I could respect this cat. If Donut wanted to sit on my lap while I was blasting away on PlayStation, then she sat on my damn lap. If I tried to pick her up, she hissed and scratched and jumped right back up there. And then she looked at me with a squished face that said, "What are you gonna do about it?" I'd been tempted more than once to throttle the thing, but I'm not an asshole. Plus, I could respect the little monster's tenacity. Some of my buddies would give me crap about it. Me spending all this time with a fuzzy cat that was probably worth more than I would make in a year. Same line again. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having that ball of fuzz sitting on my lap. One of Beatrice's ironclad, this is not negotiable rules was no smoking in the apartment. So after our fight and breakup, I'd made a point of smoking as much as I could. I know, immature, but it was freezing outside. Donut didn't seem to like the smoke too much, and the smell clung to her hair. So, as a compromise, I would crack the window when I smoked. So, when I woke up at about 2 a.m., having been startled awake by a dream, I decided I needed a smoke. I pulled out my pack, cracked the window, and I lit a cigarette. Donut, who had been sleeping right next to me on the bed, decided at that very moment that she wanted to, for the first time in her feline life, go outside and explore. She jumped up on my shoulder and she leaped out the second story window onto the tree outside my apartment. Just like that. I'd had that window open dozens of times over the past year, and she'd never even given the window a second glance. But tonight, on the coldest night of the year, the furry asshole decided to Lewis and Clark her way out of the apartment. She scampered down the tree, sniffed at the sidewalk a few times, and then promptly realized it was cold as fuck. Her adventure over as quickly as it began. She rushed back up the tree and stared at me over the 5 feet from the window to the branch. The adventure all drained out of her. Donut decided not to risk jumping back inside. So instead, she decided to start howling at the top of her lungs. I spent the next several minutes cursing at the cat, trying to coax her back inside. I opened the window all the way, sending gales of ice-cold air in the previously toasty apartment. The fuzzy, black and beige and white cat just sat there, bitching and howling so much I feared one of my neighbors might wake up and shoot her. I'd left my boots in the dryer all the way in the building's basement. I didn't know where the hell my running shoes were. So, In a momentary decision I would quickly come to regret, I squeezed my feet into a pair of my ex-girlfriend's Crocs, pulled a heavy leather jacket on, and I rushed outside to grab the cat. A part of me kept saying, screw it, it's not your cat. Let the fucker freeze. But like I said, I'm not that much of an asshole. As much as Beatrice deserved it, she loved that damn cat. And poor, stupid Donut wouldn't stand a chance out here in the cold. Not for long. Plus, again, the cat was right there, howling like someone was eating her children in front of her. I rushed down the stairs and I jumped outside, rushing to the tree that sat between the sidewalk and the building. I immediately regretted not taking the time to put proper clothes on. The cold, windy air sunk its claws into my legs and feet. Oh, I love that image, especially with the cat relationship. The wind is sinking its claws into me. Donut was right there, sitting on a tree just out of reach, looking between me and the open window into the apartment. She continued to howl. A light popped on in an apartment on the first floor. I groaned. Mrs. Parsons. Grumpy. I like to file complaints. Mrs. Parsons. Donut, I said. Come on, you little shit. I held out my arms. The cat could jump into my arms. It was something I'd trained her to do. I could shake a bag of cat treats and she'd jump right up there. I could make a pss, 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 pss sound and she'd come and she'd sometimes jump up on my shoulder. I cursed myself for not bringing cat treats out with me. The window on the first floor apartment slid open. What in God's name is going on out here? Mrs. Parsons called, sticking her head out the window. The old woman had her head wrapped in some sort of towel, making her look like a swami. Her beady eyes focused on me. Carl, is that you? Yes, Mrs. Parsons, I said. Sorry. My cat got out, and I'm trying to get her in before she freezes to death. It looks like you're the one who's going to freeze to... Mrs. Parsons never finished the sentence. Slam! It happened so fast. The building smashed down to the ground. Oh my God. I watched it happen. The 7-story apartment building was there one moment, and then it was gone. But it hadn't disappeared. I was looking right at Mrs. Parsons when it went down. It was like the building was a massive tin can that had been crushed by a giant cosmic boot. I saw it, and I heard it. Wind rushed at me, and it was instantly dark outside. The street lamp just to my left was gone. The buildings all around me were gone. The cars on the street were gone too. Everything was gone except the trees and the bicycles in the bike racks and Marjorie Williams' moped that was still booted by parking enforcement. I looked around, the freezing weather momentarily forgotten. In the dark, overcast night, I could barely see anything. In the distance, a distance I could now see thanks to the lack of buildings, a fire burned. There was utter, complete silence. What the hell? I said, spinning in circles. A couple random things remained, like the bike rack. The stop sign was there, but the street sign next to it was gone. It didn't make sense. Where the cars were parked on the road, car-shaped indentations of dirt appeared, as if they'd been pulled down toward the center of the earth, being ripped directly through the asphalt. Donut jumped into my still outstretched arms. I looked at the cat, not knowing what to do or say. What the hell? I said again. All that remained of my building was a rectangle of churned dirt and rocks. And then I saw it, right near my feet. It was Mrs. Parsons' head. In the dark, it was hard to discern, but I immediately knew what it was. It hit me at that moment. The sudden shock of the buildings was one thing, but there were people in those buildings. It was almost everybody in the damn city. Hell, even most of the homeless people were in shelters. There'd been a whole thing on the news about them rounding everybody up because of the extreme cold. It was 2 in the damn morning on a Monday night. Everyone would be in bed, and that meant everyone was dead. I kept spinning in circles like an idiot, not knowing what to do. I felt sick to my stomach. Donut started to squirm, having decided I was useless. She clawed at me, but I wouldn't let the cat go. Then came the voice, a male robotic voice. It spoke in my mind. The voice was like a physical thing, a spike in my brain scratching me. It wasn't speaking English, but I understood the words. As the person spoke, the text also appeared floating in front of me. Surviving humans, take note. What? I said out loud. What's that? Who's there? I kicked at the floating words with my foot, and the two small croc went flying. I hopped over and quickly shoved my foot back in. The words moved with me, floating just a few feet in front of my face. Okay, I'm going to pause there. There's been a lot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a thought very early in this section about Donut. How Donut, okay, the strange set of circumstances that led Carl to getting out of bed. First, waking up to a dream that caused him to decide to want to break his girlfriend's rule that hurts a cat he respects and have a smoke anyway, but because he respects the cat, he's opening a window. And despite the cat never
man.
And then the cat deciding for the first time ever on the coldest night of the fucking year in sub-zero temperatures, I'm going out for an adventure. And then the cat. Okay, so I need to set that aside. The very contrived set of circumstances.
Well, I mean, yes and no, right?
I mean, all plot is contrived, so yes,
sure, but in my mind, completely believable. Like, there are times where you wake up from something that, you know, you have a really horrible dream, and you're just like, oh my God, and you're trying to scrub that dream away from your face. And Carl's a smoker, so he's like, you know what? I need a little nicotine to calm my frazzled nerves.
That's
and
fair.
As an owner of a cat, I can tell you that sometimes they just do shit that they've never done before, and you're like, what the fuck? What made you decide to do that? So I honestly, all plausible, all believable to me, a cat owner and also a smoker. So.
Fair. Knowing what I know about how the cat is a part of Carl's journey into whatever the fuck is happening, I'm amused by the fact that in these pictures we have a cat wearing aviators and
a beret,
and
a tiara.
Exactly, doing crazy stuff. And yet the very first instance of adventure this cat has is jumping 5 feet and then deciding I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah,
and bitching and moaning about it.
Oh yeah, that is a pattern, 100%, where Donut will take action and then be like, I don't like it. And immediately backtrack. So yeah, no, she's it's very in keeping with her character. But I will tell you that at a later point in the story, you will find that there was a reason why she did, in fact, jump out the window that night. And there's an introduction of a character much later in the books who is... Anyway,
I'm excited. The other thing I'm noting about these really awesomely and intensely illustrated images of Dungeon Crawler Carl is the character is still books and books later wearing a leather jacket and white boxers with red hearts on it.
With little hearts on them. Yep.
There are multiple shots.
Oh, he's barefoot also.
Oh yeah, he's barefoot. In a couple, he's got like spiked knee pads and a gauntlet. And he has like a shirt on under his leather jacket, and then he's wearing like a huge scarf. So he does pick up some things. Yeah, but it also looks like he doesn't find pants.
I'm not gonna. I'll give something away. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah. Oh wow, there's a beautiful chibi illustration of Carl Donut, and a bunch of other characters that I don't think I should look at for too long.
I think you
Um,
should not.
okay.
Don't you know what, even if you see the characters you won't know who they are, it won't spoil anything, but yeah.
Oh, I see the
um
goat. Anyway, okay.
Prepotente is
I
my
do.
favorite.
Okay, I'm not. Never mind. I have to stop looking at it. I'm
Okay.
intrigued by the continued mystery of, okay, there's like everything was smashed except not everything. There's some
Yeah.
organic matter, like trees that are still standing, and
Yep.
then also still some inorganic matter,
Yeah, like a bike rack.
bike racks and a bike.
But the cars,
Um,
yep,
the
that
car,
was all
yeah,
repurposed.
and they were
Buildings repurposed.
squished. Yes.
Hmm.
So it's like
Uh,
some
yeah.
sort of massive terraforming, like controlled terraforming has just happened.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And it's the introduction of the system AI, who
Yeah.
gradually, over the course of the books, gains more of a personality. So
Interesting.
when you surviving humans, take note. It's like it starts out, like any sort of computer generated message, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then there's some legal jargon where we'll get to where it's just like in World of Warcraft, like where you get these notifications and things that pop
Right.
up like
Yeah.
right in front of the
Yeah.
screen and force you to read it like as it's happening. So
Yeah. It's a male robotic voice.
mhm.
Um, uh, I also love that Donut, it seems to be shocked by what has happened, but quickly decides like, okay, I'm jumping into your arms. Oh wait, no, I don't want to be here. Never mind.
Yep,
Um,
that's very
interesting.
cat. It's just that's what cats
That's
do. They're
cats.
Yeah, you open the door, they're like, I just wanted the door open. And then they'll go out and
Mm-hmm.
then they'll immediately want to come back in. No closed doors in this house.
Yeah.
If we try to close the door while we're using the restroom, she will scream outside of the door. And then you get a little pause under the door trying to like grab at you, like, please, where are you? You've
Mm-hmm.
disappeared from my sight and now I am all alone. I'm an orphan. I'm going to starve. So yeah, that's cats.
All right, let's keep going. So we can't kick the notification, the chat notification, the alerts away. Even the letters weren't in English. They crawled down, not across the screen. They crawled down, not across the screen. Oh, interesting that the letters are falling down in our vision. But I knew them, understood them like I'd been reading the language my entire life. Per Syndicate Rules, subsection 543 of the Precious Elemental Reserves Code, having failed to file a proper appeal for mineral and elemental rights within 50 solars of first contact, your planet has been successfully seized and is currently being mined of all requested elemental deposits by the assigned planetary regent. Every interior of your world has been crushed, and all raw materials, organic and inanimate, are in the process of being mined for the requested elements. Per the Mined Material Reclamation Act, along with subsection 35 of the Indigenous Planetary Species Protection Act, any surviving human will be given the opportunity to reclaim their lost matter. The Borant Corporation, having been assigned regency over this solar system, is allowed to choose the manner of this reclamation, and they have chosen option 3, also known as the 18-level World Dungeon. Okay, hang on. I want to reread that. The Borant
Yeah.
Corporation, having been assigned regency over this solar system. Okay, so apparently first contact was made with humans, and whoever made that was receiving that contact on behalf of humans didn't do what they were supposed to for 50 years.
So so this is where the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy sort of aspect comes in, where it's like, hey man, it's not our problem that we're putting a road here. You had plenty
Yeah.
of time to dispute this action. It was up at the office for all this time. All you had to do is come in.
You received, quote,
Um,
adequate notice.
Absolutely. You had adequate notice within 50 solars of first contact. Now, first contact
Mm-hmm.
may have been first contact may have been 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But, it had to have been done within 50 solars in
Yeah.
order to circumvent whatever this action
Yeah.
was.
So
Um,
this is a very bureaucratic
oh yeah,
organization, whoever's doing this to
oh
our
yeah,
solar system, not just our planet, but our solar system.
oh yeah.
Very bureaucratic, um,
Mhm.
very organized, and also very capitalist. The Bowen
Oh yeah,
Corporation, having been assigned regency, so it's not just um, um, capitalist and bureaucratic it fits into this, but like regency. So it's sort of like a feudalism. Let me look up like
yes.
exactly what is meant by regency.
So there are
Commonwealth,
kings,
jurisdiction of
queens,
government.
governance. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah, just
it's
like, oh, we're handing control off to corporations, like control over entire solar systems and species of creatures. They just get
imagine
control of.
how complicated Earth politics are. Now, take that because because when you talk about politics, you're not just talking about politics, you're talking about like the socioeconomic backgrounds of the people that are being governed. You're
Mm-hmm.
also talking about the religious people who want a say in how their people are governed. So like there are lots of religions in the wide vastiness of the universe, and there are lots of different monarchs, and there are lots of different capitalist corporations. There's
Yeah.
it's multiply it by about a billion. It's that much bigger, and sometimes it's all happening at the same time,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so precious elemental reserves code. So precious elements are important to us, and we have lots of rules about who gets them. We determined that the rights to your precious elements are ours. You had 50 years to appeal since first contact. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't, so we've seized your planet and are going to
Yeah.
mine it. We assigned um we assigned who's going to do that mining to a company, um, and they have the right to, because we are the property owners now, not you, we have the
Mm-hmm.
right to just crush every interior. um
This is how they mine the materials.
yes, this is how we mine. And because the mining and reclamation of your material, no, wait, not yours, our materials, us as property owners, is so important. And also it would be a huge pain in the ass to do it any other way. And because of that, we reserve the right to just end life.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who just was lucky enough to survive, you can file to reclaim property that belonged to you that doesn't matter to us. So anything of inconsequential matter that we crushed through our bureaucratic process, you
Right,
can,
but
yeah,
it's also because of the Indigenous Planetary Species Protection Act, right? Because we are now.
right. Because we want to protect you, any of you who happen to survive our bureaucratic crushing process to get our property back, you have the right, because of your luck, to file to get your stuff back. Now, the regent, this company we gave control over to, they get to choose how you get to file for that
Yep.
on your behalf. And they've chosen an 18 level world dungeon.
Yes. And
um,
this is something that you will.
what?
I don't want to jump the gun too much or give away too much, but the World Dungeon, this is like the Hunger Games, sort of the Running Man aspect of it. It's
Yeah.
televised. I
Right,
say
yes.
televised, quote
It goes
unquote
on to
televised.
say the corporation retains all the rights to broadcast, exploit, and
Yeah.
otherwise control all aspects of the dungeon, and will remain in control as long as they adhere to syndicate regulations regarding world resource reclamation. So
Right.
we don't care what they do to you, but as long as they don't fuck up the mining of the materials.
Well, it all comes down to money. It all comes down to
Clearly.
money and control. So the World Dungeon is it's it's a television show
Yeah,
that
even
is wildly popular, and there will be sponsors, and there will be talk show hosts, and there will be it's like watching something on Twitch. It's like watching a streamer play a game or whatever. So they're going
yeah.
to watch the World Dungeon
Yeah. We've
on television, and they're
yeah,
going to win a lot of money. So
we've
the
given the right to
resources
this.
are one thing, and
Yes.
but that's not where the real moneymaker is for this. It's the dungeon and watch people
Mm,
compete to live.
okay. So, wow. What was option 1 and 2?
I don't know. I haven't read that.
Yes,
We haven't
obviously,
brought that
but
up.
like the fact that there's options is great. Like
Oh
that just
yeah,
begs more questions. This is good
yeah,
plot hooks. Like, what it like plot concepts are supposed to are best framed as what if questions. So like, what if this enormous intergalactic government did this,
yep,
and because they wanted the minerals back, and that looked in the form of this and this and this, and what if there wasn't just one option but many?
hmm
That just is so fun and interesting and exciting to think about, because it's begging more questions. That this is a good
yeah.
concept.
And that's the
uh
thing, is that you're going to learn the things at the same time that Carl is learning the things. So this is all I mean, he's telling the story, but at the same time, he's
mhm.
revealing things. This is why I love the way Matt Dinniman writes. And I've watched a couple of interviews with him. I'm sorry to like get off on a tangent, but I've
Please
watched a couple
do.
of interviews with him, and they've talked about how they've asked him questions like, what's your writing process like? And he is what is known as a pantser,
Yes,
where like
me
he,
too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he like flies by the seat of his pants. And like one person asked, like, do you know how the story is going to end? And he's like, no, if I
No.
knew how the story was going to end, I don't think I'd want to write it anymore.
Right,
So,
exactly.
I mean, so, he has like maybe like a loose outline of like how he's going to attack like a certain scene that he's planning on writing, but he doesn't know what's going to happen any more than we do until it's written, which I
Right.
think is fucking awesome. And he's just a very talented, wonderful writer.
Yeah.
And yeah, his exactly like the things that he's showing us. You're
Uh-huh.
like, okay, well, what were the other options? Like, it begs more questions. You're like, please tell me more. I would love more information about this. And you're like, nope, never going to hear about that again. Just got to keep moving
Mm-mm.
forward. So it's like,
Mm-mm.
it's just you're only seeing like little glimpses of this wide universe, and like Carl periodically throughout the books will kind of like take a moment and be like, okay, this is what we know. Why do you think they're doing this? Why
Right.
did they make this decision? What did they get out of it? Like, what's their motivation? Like, and
Well,
like,
it also frames the syndicate, this massive government, as
oh
benevolent.
yeah,
Like, oh yeah, we have, they get to choose. We've got lots of
mm-hmm,
options. Whatever you want.
mm-hmm.
Whatever works best for you. We are a
Oh yeah,
government for the people. Except they're not. They're called the syndicate, a group of people or entities that work together to achieve a common business goal. This is not a corporation of like governing for people. It is to
no,
support corporations,
you don't know how
businesses.
right you
It's
are. Oh, I
economic in
can't wait for you to
nature,
keep
and
it.
I
Okay,
hate it. Um,
good.
yeah.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
too excited. I'm gonna mute myself. I want you to keep reading.
All right. Upon successful completion of level 18 of the World Dungeon, Regency of this planet will revert to the successor. Revert like one person had control of the planet in the first place. What? That's weird. Weird wording. But oh, hey, if you clear the dungeon, you are king or queen. You're in charge. It's you. Um,
Pretty
uh,
much. Yeah.
that's really strange because earlier it seemed to say you could file for an appeal for your stuff back, but also like there's no explanation of how to appeal to get your stuff back.
Right,
There's
exactly.
just,
No,
here's the dungeon. If you complete it, you're king or queen.
right.
Um,
There are all of these things that are in place to say, like, look, they had the opportunity to do blah blah, but it's like trying to
oh,
cancel a fucking gym membership or something, like where
yeah.
you have to like
Yeah.
do it in writing, and you can only come by between the hours of like 12 and 12:30 when the manager is on staff, because they're the only ones who can, like, exactly. It's set up to make you fail, and that is purposeful 100% of the way. Like, they don't want anyone to succeed.
Yeah.
They
Clearly.
wouldn't create a business model that way for
Yeah.
anyone but them benefits.
Yeah. I love that I guess regency is a word I'm really interested to understand the context of more. Understand the context more of, because so when they say regency, that means like we're assigning rulership, but only like temporarily, right? Or what's
Uh,
your reading of that? And when they say, hey, if you clear the dungeon, you are now the regent of the planet, does that mean like, hey, we still have that? I mean, that has to mean we still get to determine ultimately what happens to this planet. But for now, we're putting you in charge. Like,
um,
is that what they're saying?
so all it really is they're outlining what could potentially happen upon the completion of the 18th level. If a crawler were to make it to the 18th level, all of the, everything that's been mined, everything, it will potentially go back to the successor. The indigenous peoples of that planet will then, regain their rights over the materials that were being reclaimed.
Sure.
And it's, like a contractual, but again,
A
it's not set up.
person, a regent is a person, or apparently a company, appointed to administer a country because the monarch is a minor or is absent or incapacitated. So it does strike me as like a temporary assignment, uh,
Mhm.
because we're too busy, or for whatever reason we are disinterested in retaining control right now.
Uh,
Anyway,
yeah, not
so I guess this
necessarily.
this just is me. More questions are being begged
Yes,
by this.
and
Okay.
they will continue to do so.
Mm-hmm. All right. A syndicate neutral observer AI, myself, has been created and dispatched to this planet to supervise the creation of the world dungeon and to ensure all of the rules and regulations are properly followed. Please pay careful attention to the following information as it will not be repeated. Note all this bureaucratic bullshit is just being passed along by a chatbot, not by the syndicate itself. So like, who knows what filter this is being passed through and what it actually is. Like what the actual terms are. Hmm.
Right. And that's not for the crawler to know. All they need to know right now is that, in order for them to be given a chance or a shot, that, the only way to do that is to enter the crawl, and that's it.
Hmm. Per the Indigenous Planetary Species Protection Act, all remaining materials, estimated to be 99.999999 of the sifted matter, is currently being repurposed for the subterranean world dungeon. The first level of this dungeon will open approximately 18 seconds after the end of this announcement. The first level entrances will be open for exactly 1 human hour and 1 hour only. Once the entrances are closed, you may no longer enter. If you enter, you may not leave until you have either completed all 18 levels of the world dungeon, or if you meet certain other requirements. End of sentence, moving on. If you choose not to enter the world dungeon, you will have to sustain yourself upon the surface of your planet, and this may be the last communication you receive during your lifetime. All previously processed matter and elements are forfeit. However, You are free to mine and utilize any remaining and naturally occurring resources for your own benefit. The Bowen Corporation, insert name of regent here, wishes you luck and thanks for your opportunity. We wish you luck and thanks for the opportunity to do what? For the thanks.
The opportunity.
You chose this, so thanks.
Yeah, exactly. They chose this by not, filing an appeal.
This is such bullshit.
For 50 years. It is bullshit. It absolutely is, yeah.
Oh my god. For those who wish to exercise their right, oh, here we go. Oh, this is what I was asking about. Of resource reclamation, please take note. Excuse me one sec. There will be 150,000 level 1 entrances added to the world. These entrances will be marked and easy to spot. If you so choose to enter the first level of the dungeon, you will have 5 rotations of your planet to find the next level down. Oh my god. You have 5 days per level of the dungeon. There will be 75,000 entrances to level 2, 37,500 entrances to level 3, 18,750 to level 4. It basically halves every time.
Exactly.
The number of available entrances to the next lower level will continue to decrease by half, rounding up until the 18th level, which will only have 2 entrances and a single exit. Okay, so this is only a only one person can win thing. This is a death game.
Yes and no.
Or can multiple people take an exit or entrance?
Multiple people can take an exit.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But it's just a matter of size.
Exactly. So it's not. So imagine that there are 1 million people and there are so many exits. The exit down to the next floor will be open for a certain, number of hours or whatever prior to.
Okay. Hey! All you gotta do is find the next entrance and exit. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta find it and then go down.
As it gets smaller, there's fewer, but that makes sense because there's less area of the dungeon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine it like a big inverted birthday cake.
An upside down cake.
Yeah. So an upside down cake where it's just like, the levels get smaller and a little bit more condensed each time. And
why didn't they just call this upside down cake Carl?
They should have called it upside down cake Carl. That would have. I would still read that book.
All right. I think what we're talking about is further explained here. Crawlers who choose to enter the world dungeon must first find a staircase and descend to the next level down before the allotted time is up for that level. Once the time has passed, the level will be reclaimed, and all remaining matter in the level, organic and inanimate, will be forfeit. Generated loot and other matter that is not gathered and reclaimed and claimed may be placed in the syndicate market.
Yep.
This is how we get our money. Each lower level will have a longer period of reclamation. Oh, so it's 5 days for the first level, but it gets longer?
Yes. So because the first, it's like regular dungeon rules. Like the first level should be easy, and then as you continue on, the bosses get harder, the challenges get harder, the quests get more complicated. So you should have a little bit more time in between each one to, complete that level or task or quest. They are giving them somewhat of a fighting chance in order to, go on to the next level, because the longer the dungeon goes, the longer it's televised or,
right. Fair.
The more money they get.
Yeah,
so
we gotta milk Truman Show for all it's worth, baby.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to kill everybody right out of the gate. They're not going to make any money that way. That's crazy.
Yeah. So is there like logic to how long it extends? Like, does the time double every level, or is it just arbitrary?
Well, yes, it should. It should double each time.
Because obviously they're being like really skimpy with the information they're providing.
Right,
I
exactly.
would, and it sounds like they're not going to tell us here in this chapter, but like I would love to know what the total amount of time a crawler could expect might take if it came down to the last possible second for every floor. Like, what's the total amount of time that this could take?
Well, it should double each time, but it also depends on the number of crawlers that there are left.
Oh, I see.
It also
Okay.
depends on what challenges that level
Mm,
poses to each crawler,
okay.
where they end up, and it also depends on, it's about viewership
Have you
too.
have you
Are people
read
watching?
have you read or listened to all the books?
Yes. I've read and listened to all of the
Oh
books.
man, I have so many questions for you. Like I want to
I don't
like
want to give anything
I
away.
know you don't. So don't answer these, but I'm just going
Okay,
to throw
good.
these questions out here. So
Good.
you've
Yep.
taught like you seem to be very fixated on the like viewership in this last comment, and I'm also thinking about that since it's recently mentioned like what kind of feedback does Carl get that there are viewers? Like, what's his interaction with the viewership? Are there sponsors a la Hunger Games that will send gifts to support a crawler? Um, oh man, this is really exciting. Are there sponsorship opportunities? Like we're being thrown into a dystopian capitalist hellscape, literally, dungeonscape. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by this. This is really cool.
I'm like shaking. I want to tell you all of the things and I can't.
I can tell you right now, I am like fully hooked. I plan on getting these, listening or reading them.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
so excited.
hell
Call
yeah.
me, text me as soon as you start. Like, oh my God. Okay.
Okay, let's keep going. Each
Yeah.
lower level will have a longer period of reclamation, and this is so sinister. Additional rules come into play once any crawlers descend to the 10th floor. We can, you have no idea what's coming ahead of you. Like, after the halfway point, we could tell you anything. These rules
Hmm.
will be explained when and if any crawlers reach this level. Oh, fuck you. That's so rude. Oh my god. Uh, this has me wondering how many floors they've covered in this. What, 6 books they've had so far?
I don't want to tell you.
I know, don't tell me, but I'm really curious. And like, is it
Yeah.
one book per floor? Is it
Sometimes.
multiple? Is there?
Sometimes.
If you so choose to enter the world dungeon, it is highly recommended you immediately find and utilize a tutorial guild. A guild, interesting. Multiple tutorial guilds will be seeded throughout the dungeons on level 1 through, or dungeon on levels 1 through 3. Why? Why multiple guilds? Why does a
Because there's
guild
more people.
why does a guild need to teach you a tutorial and not just like the AI itself? I'm very suspicious. If you have additional questions or you wish to file an appeal, such requests must be submitted in writing directly to the closest syndicate office. Thank
Yep.
you for being a part of the syndicate. Have a great day, you people who, until this moment, had no idea you were part of the syndicate.
Yeah. Have a great day. Get fucked.
Yeah, locate your closest spaceship whose matter we probably just confiscated. Oh, you've never heard of spaceships? Sucks to suck. Guess we won't see you.
Oh my
Bye.
God. I can't wait until you. Okay. I wish I could download all of the knowledge that I have about this into your brain, but then I would be depriving you of the joy of getting to uncover it
Yes,
as you read.
exactly. I feel like there's a lot of joy of discovery and learning through this
Oh,
fiction.
it's so good.
Seems juicy.
It is juicy.
My
Okay.
brain could barely parse any of what the voice had said. So bewildered I was at everything that had just happened. I could no longer feel my legs. I had been outside much too long, and I was in serious danger of freezing to death, of losing toes to the cold. I had to get inside, and I had to do it now. but there was no inside anymore. There weren't even cars. I eyed the fire that continued to rage a few blocks over. I needed to get over there and fast. I turned and I started to shuffle run. The wind, which had been a light breeze before the buildings all disappeared, was now a constant freezing gale that stank of the ocean. Donut twisted in my arms, scratching at me, trying to get free. She chomped on my shoulder, but my jacket protected me. I clutched the cat tighter. Was this a dream? Had I accidentally been dosed with some sort of hallucinogen? World dungeon? What the actual hell? What did that even mean? My mind continued to race. I immediately thought of Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons and other games I hadn't played since I was on active duty. I couldn't see a single damn person. I was surrounded by only the sound of the wind. A horn like a trumpet sounded, blasting through the night air. I stopped dead, looking around. What now? It's the dungeon appearing, I thought. This is happening. Holy shit. This is really happening. Less than 100 feet to my left, right in the middle of what had once been a thrift store, a spotlight burst into the air. I saw an additional spotlight appear about a mile away. I turned, and I saw a few more littered throughout the city. Even from this distance, I could feel the warmth radiating from the brightly lit hole in the ground. Oh man, that's so salient to him, the warmth coming out of these lights.
Oh yeah. What would you do if you were freezing and you had this angry fucking cat and there's nothing around you?
They did say you have 24 hours, so, and there is a fire, so he had a choice here.
1 hour. He had 1 hour to
get
was it
into 1 hour? Dungeon. Oh, fuck.
1 hour to get into the dungeon.
Oh, my God. I mean, yeah.
And his feet and his legs. He's already starting to lose feeling in his feet and his legs. Yeah. He's freezing. Damn. The wind is like biting into him. He and this cat are going to fucking die if he doesn't do something. And he's like, I got to move. I got to do something. So he sees that fire burning way in the distance. And he's like, okay, at least there's warmth over there. But as he's running, this hole in the ground opens up and there's like all of this delicious heat coming up out of it. And he's like,
and you know what? Yeah. And sometimes you don't think about it. I didn't think about it. My head still swam with all the information that had been thrown at me. The pink Crocs barely fit on my feet. The distant fire was further away than I thought. I had seen firsthand what hypothermia did to people. Oh, right, because of his training. So I turned toward the light and I ran. Oof. Incredible. Wow. What a chapter of a book. There's a lot to pick apart here. I like the writing. I think that he's very to the point. He doesn't like it's not the most like so efficient that it's boring to read, but it is efficient. And it moved us through a lot very quickly. I really like it.
I like the way he wrote this first chapter. Because it's like, it happens very fast. And it's like, you're experiencing all of these things at the same time Carl's experiencing all of these things. He's like, what am I going to do? I've got this fucking cat in everything's gone. Everybody's dead. Holy shit. And like, he's hit with all of this information at the same time. And he's just like, what am I going to do? And then boom. An option.
The chapter probably hits even harder if you don't stop to talk about it every 30 seconds. Especially because of how late it is, how tired he is, how cold he is, how surprised he is. So
he's disoriented. He literally just woke up. A minute ago.
I think if I had just read this and just been done with it, like read it and be done, that would have been hit even harder. So, but it's great. I'm surprised that there was an entrance a mile away from him. I wonder, it just continues to beg more questions. So are the entrances evenly scattered around the planet? Did they scan for who survived the transformation and then just dropped some in a mathematically sensible way, like pattern around the survivors?
Carl asks that same
Oh, does he?
question.
Great. Excellent. Okay. Let's take a quick break.
Yeah,
And we'll come back with part one, i.e.,
chapter two.
chapter two, the first floor of the dungeon. We'll be right back. Okay. Dungeon floor one. Time to level collapse 5 days. Oh, okay, great. So we're getting some like factual information that is not from our narrator. Um, and presumably we will get this kind of information at the start of every dungeon floor.
Yes,
Okay.
and more.
Ooh, exciting. Especially maybe some special rules. Okay. An ornate staircase led down into the light. Each step appeared to be made of wrought iron, and the whole thing was wide enough to accommodate 20 people walking side by side. Glowing warmth radiated from the hole. I took a step, falling down a little further than I anticipated. My footfalls echoed into the brightness. This was a city of almost 1,000,000 people, and I was the only one here. Donut, who had stopped fighting, clutched onto my shoulder and started growling as we descended toward the bright light. Welcome, glorious warmth beckoned me deeper. My legs and feet, which I hadn't been able to feel, were now starting to burn. I hadn't been out in the cold long enough to sustain any real damage, but I was frostbitten to hell. The stairs seemed to go on forever. The iron steps were carved in an odd pattern depicting what could have been fish or maybe demons. The almost Asian-looking carvings gave me an uneasy feeling. These stairs weren't here just a few minutes ago. This whole thing is made of the buildings and cars and people of the world. Who did this? How did they do it? By the time I reached the bottom of the stairs, the temperature had risen to humid, balmy 80 degrees Fahrenheit or so. The metal stairs ended at a marble floor and a hulking door that stood about 30 feet tall and was just as wide. The wooden arch door was carved in the shape of a massive fish demon, like the stairs. I looked up at the double doors. What the hell is this thing? I muttered. Really quickly, so whoever these fish demon aliens are that constructed this, the members of the, what are they called? The Borant Corporation? Is the fish demon their logo? Is that like, ugh, so many questions. They clearly even though they squashed everything and then reassembled it, they have an appreciation for materials design and architecture, like wrought iron stairs,
Yeah,
marble floors, ornate stairs. Like they are designing this to be aesthetically pleasing.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's gonna be on television. People are gonna
oh,
be
that's
watching
yes,
it.
good point. Good point. It's not like they just like, oh, we'll just carve stairs out of
We'll
what
throw some
material is
rickety wooden
already
jobs
there.
down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll just dig it out rather, but no, we will clear it and then reassemble what we want to be there, and it'll look
absolutely.
good. Very interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Um hmm. Glad to see that our protagonist also cares about people. He like is constantly noting like, I'm the only one here, all these people have
Oh yeah,
died, this is awful, I'm the only one here, this is terrible.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
it's
constantly plagued by like, oh my god, like, am I the only one? Is it just me? Like,
right.
or and all these people have died. This is made of the reclaimed bodies and buildings of everything that was just crushed, the whole
Mm-hmm.
world. You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah. He's got a
Speaking of
big
being constantly plagued, I feel like in a lot of Dungeons and Dragons games, players min max and just like throw their character's humanity out the window for the sake of, oh, you've put an enemy in my path, an obstacle, I'm just gonna kill them.
And you know what? That happens a lot in this book as well,
Mm,
where some of the human players, it's just a game to them.
mm-hmm.
And they
Yeah.
do forget their humanity.
Mm-hmm.
But that happens later.
Yeah. As I stared at the door, an information box popped up over the door. The box appeared so suddenly and unexpectedly that I stepped back. It was like I was in a game. It was like I was in a game. Bro, you are in a game? A death game. Uh oh man. I want to talk about Squid Game so much right now. I'm not going to because this episode will last forever. Um it was like I was in a game, or maybe wearing special contact lenses that popped up informational tooltips. It even had a little X in the corner to close it out. This is a rendition of a Kuatin, the dominant species of the Borant system and principal owners of the Borant Corporation. Make sure you recognize these guys. There'll be a test later. Oh man. Okay. They set up the pin for me to ask, and then they knocked it down. Yes,
Yep.
the fish demons are people of
You
the
know,
Borant system.
that's something that Matt Dinniman is really excellent at doing. He's like, I'm gonna pose this crazy shit, and then I'm gonna explain it
Yeah.
as because I know they're gonna have these questions because he's questioning these things himself. It's great.
Yeah, but then it's like, hey, the reason I'm explaining this to you is because it's part of the death game. Good luck.
Yep.
And as a reminder, you're in that death game. There'll be a test.
Yep.
Okay. One other thing I forgot to mention at the end of chapter 1. We talked about how Carl felt like the omission of information was a form of lying, and yet the terms of service of the announcement was just full of apparent holes and omissions of information.
Disclaimer.
It's a legal disclaimer, and yet he's not complaining. Interesting.
He will. He definitely will complain, but right now he's more focused on like
he's more panicked, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna complain about this later. I'm gonna file this.
Yeah, I gotta warm my toe beans.
My toe beans is
yeah.
frozen.
Time to ask questions later. Was that last part supposed to be a joke? I focused on the X in the corner and mentally closed the box. Huh, I thought. I looked up at the carving again and I felt something, almost like a slight haptic tingling in my brain. The information box popped up again. I closed it. Weird. I could control the information with my mind. I could open information boxes on certain items by focusing on them. I could close the boxes by mentally clicking the X with my mind. That means they're in your head. Maybe this isn't really happening. Maybe you're asleep and this is all some sort of high-tech simulation, like in the Matrix movies. The pain in my warming up legs and feet reminded me that simulation or not, it didn't matter. Not when I could hurt. With my one free hand, I pushed at the door. It opened easily inward, revealing a long hallway lit by multiple torches. The hallway was just as wide and tall as the door, more like a tunnel for a double-lane roadway than for someone to walk through. In the distance, I could see several branches leading off the main hall. A blinking light appeared near the first branch. It seemed to be a sign of some sort, but I couldn't read it from here. Ow! I cried as Donut chomped down on my hand. I dropped the cat and she bounded forward into the hallway. She stopped about 10 paces in, looking around with a confused, startled look on her face. I stepped toward the cat and the doors slammed behind me. Oh, interesting. So it doesn't consider the cat to be a crawler. Or maybe it does, but it was waiting for the party to move forward. The light from the entrance room cut off and was replaced with a dusk-like dimness. Wait, hold on. I dropped the cat. She bounded forward. She stopped about 10 paces in, looking around with a confused, startled look on her face. Is she seeing text? Hmm.
Keep reading.
Welcome, crawler. Welcome to the first floor. This was a new voice. It was male, sounding overly enthusiastic, almost like a game show host. It wasn't the same person or speaker from the original announcement. The words appeared floating before me and were simultaneously spoken in my mind. Unlike the tooltip box, I wasn't able to close it. This was more like subtitles. A timer appeared in the upper right of my vision. It was at 4 days, 23 hours, and 48 minutes, and counting down. I, again, swiped at the characters. They didn't go away. I closed my eyes, and the information disappeared. It was unsettling, and it gave me a slightly queasy feeling to my stomach. Wait, because he closed his eyes at the information, it made him feel upset?
Yeah, it's just him becoming used to
Oh,
the
the mental projection of words.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, he closes his eyes, they go away, and he's like nauseated. He's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Okay. Donut remained in her spot several paces in front of me, but the chunky cat was swiping at the air in front of herself. Again, setting up a pin and knocking it down quickly. I love it. She sees it too, I thought. Holy crap. Whatever this was, it was happening to the cat just like it was to me. Donut, I said, calling to the cat, stay with me. The cat, being a cat, ignored me. But as I looked at her, I felt that same almost imperceptible tingle I felt when I looked at the door. I focused more tightly, and an information box popped up over the cat. Crawler number 4119, Princess Donut. Level 1, race, cat, class, not yet assigned. Oh my God. So 41,018 people arrived before Donut and
Yep.
Carl.
Yep.
I took a step forward, painfully aware that I was wearing Crocs that didn't fit. More text assaulted me. Assaulted me. You have been designated crawler 4122. So even in the time between Donut and him, 2 other people showed up. You have been assigned the crawler name Carl. You are assigned the race of human. You are currently level 1. You may choose a new race and class as soon as you descend to the 3rd floor. Your stat points have been assigned based on your current physical and mental profile. See the stat menu for more details. So, okay, you've been assigned stats. Is this like we've relatively assigned you scores based on your comparable strength and mental aptitude compared to all other players?
Yes.
Or a control? Or like, did we roll stats and these are completely different than representations? Nope. Oh, no, they
Not
are.
rolled.
Okay. See the stat.
It's taken based on, you know, who you are as a person.
Okay.
Are you relatively strong? Then your strength might be a 2 or a 3. With the way that leveling works in the dungeon,
yeah,
it becomes a little more complicated than that. But
obviously, and I want to learn it as I go.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's the regular stats that you would think. There's dexterity, strength, charisma.
Right.
No wisdom, but there is intelligence. Anyway.
Menu. I wondered how to pull a menu up, but before I could even try to figure it out, I was bowled over by a wall of text. Congratulations! You've earned your first achievement, Crazy Cat Lady! You have entered the world dungeon accompanied by a cat. Aw, isn't that sweet? Reward! You've received a bronze pet box. New achievement, Trailblazing Crazy Cat Lady. You are the first crawler to have encountered to have entered the world dungeon accompanied by a cat. You must really love that thing. Too bad you're both probably gonna die a horrible death at any moment. Or maybe not. Look at the prize you just received. You received a legendary pet box. New achievement, early adopter. You are one of the first 5,000 crawlers to enter the new world dungeon. Sucker! Reward, you have received a silver adventure box. New achievement, empty pockets. You didn't bring any supplies. None. You know you've still got to eat, right? Reward, you've received a bronze adventurer box. Okay. There's more. Oh my God. Before I read more achievements, this is culturally relevant. Crazy Cat Lady is an Earth.
Yeah.
A 21st century relevant cultural thing. Like,
oh yeah.
So these are achievements that have been either researched and made or are just like made from the collective minds of the players about what's interesting in games.
It's definitely a cultural thing, and
Interesting.
You will discover more on that later.
Okay, let's read 3 more achievements. New achievement. Why aren't you wearing pants? You entered the dungeon wearing no pants. Dude, seriously? I love the like flavor text is also very like cultural and
it gets pretty spicy.
Yeah. You've received a gold apparel box. New achievement, unarmed combat. So, you gonna waltz right into something called a world dungeon and you're not even gonna bring a weapon? You're either braver than you look or you're just an idiot. Good luck with that, Van Damme. You've received a bronze weapon box. New achievement, loner. You entered the dungeon without any human companions. Didn't anyone teach you there are safety in numbers? Reward, none! Haha, you are so dead. I stared at those last words as they faded away. You are so dead. Donut was, again, swiping at the air. So Donut got some achievements. You are the first cat to enter the dungeon with a human.
Yep.
We all know that you're in charge. Menu, I said out loud. Nothing happened. Stats, nothing. How the hell was I supposed to look at my information? It said I'd received multiple, loot boxes? That's sure as hell what it sounded like, which meant I had some sort of inventory. I remembered something from the initial announcement, something about finding a tutorial guild. I looked up at the neon sign about 100 meters down the dark tunnel. Would that be it? I started to shuffle jog down. I love that. I started to shuffle jog down the tunnel towards the blazing sign. I passed Donut, who sat upon the ground, licking her paw and rubbing it against her forehead. After a moment, the cat seemed to sigh and decide to follow. The neon sign read, Da Tutorial Guild, with an arrow pointing down a thin, dark alleyway. I shuffled to a stop. The swish of my footfalls echoed in the large, empty tunnel. I peered into the darkness. It was pitch black in there. Behind me, Donut meowed with concern. I stepped into the alley. New achievement! Fall into an obvious trap. Reward. Well, if there's a heaven, and if you haven't been too much of an asshole, maybe they'll let you in, because you about to meet your maker. 3 lights flipped on, blinding me. I covered my eyes and took a step back. Something mechanical hissed, and what sounded like a steam engine roared to life. I heard laughter, high-pitched and squealing. I turned and I ran. Both of my pink Crocs went flying as I turned down the main tunnel, heading away from where I'd come down the stairs. Donut yowled and rushed after me. I hazarded a look over my shoulder and saw the contraption rocket out of the alleyway, almost crash into the far wall, and then slowly start to back up and turn, facing me. The machine was the size of a tractor and ran on treads like a tank. The thing was built out of mismatched, rusting hulks of metal, and it looked as if it would fall apart at any moment. A spinning, spike-covered wheel dominated the front of the death machine. On top of the tractor, 3 green-hued humanoid monsters stood, screaming and pointing in my direction. Each of these monsters looked to be about 4 feet tall and were dressed in leathery rags. One appeared to be wearing a kitchen pot on his head. He grunted and screamed as he worked the controls for the tall machine. Black smoke billowed from several pipes. The spinning wheel whirred even faster, and the machine righted itself and started barreling toward me. A tooltip popped up. Goblin Murder Dozer. Contraption. A goblin-built, steam-powered machine designed to mow down and slaughter unsuspecting dungeon crawlers. I hope you're up to date with your tetanus shots. 3 more tooltips popped up over the 3 riders. 2 of them read, Goblin, level 2. Small, green, and smart. What goblins lack in physical strength, they make up for in pure spunk. The 3rd goblin, the one with the pot on his head and driving the machine, had a different description. Goblin Engineer, level 3. Engineers, the incels of the goblin world. Fucking hell. They have a hard time finding a date, which makes them extra angry. If there are any females in your party, they will attack them first. Oh my god. Shannon, I hate it.
You love it. You love it.
Okay, so these tooltips are including human words like incels.
Yeah. Yeah.
And talking about their romantic and sexual exploits.
Oh, this is, yeah.
And gendering, or talking about gendered behavior.
Yep.
Oh my god. I don't know what to make of this at all.
Wait.
I don't understand the tooltips or the achievements and how it's so culturally informed, but I'm intrigued.
You're setting the pins are being set up and they will be knocked down, I promise.
Excellent. Okay, so the designers of this game are not above immediately at the very first opportunity trying to kill the players by having them step into a trap.
Yep. It's their fault if they fall into what is an obvious tutorial guild. If they fall into that trap, then well, that's survival of the fittest, baby.
Yeah. It also doesn't seem the balance that the writer here of this story in threading the needle of this corporation is interested in players surviving, but also interested in the excitement of starting to kill them right away.
Immediately.
Give them, surprise them and not give them any tools is also...
yeah.
I mean, they are giving them tools, though. So you step in, you immediately are struck with these achievements that are even telling you, hey, why are you by yourself? Hey, you forgot to bring stuff. You're going to have to worry about that. Hey, you don't even have a fucking weapon. Here, take a weapon, but we're not going to teach you how to access it. That's so interesting to me. It's like, hey, we're giving you hints and even help, but we're not exactly giving it to you easy.
Oh, no hand-holding in this game. Absolutely not.
Clearly.
No, if you are dumb and you die immediately, whoops.
Oh my god.
That doesn't make for compelling TV, Nick.
Clearly.
They want fighters.
Look how it's like this balance of look how benevolent we are and how dispassionate we are.
Yep.
It's really interesting to me. And it clearly is about the building the tension for whatever this show is. We have no idea how viewers are where are the cameras? How are they viewing this? But clearly, even off the get-go, there is a playfulness for the sake of entertainment. It's really, really interesting here. Okay, I didn't have time to think about the stupidity of the jokes or the fact I was, for the first time, looking upon a group of real live monsters trying to kill me. I rushed down the hallway and reached another junction. I could go 3 ways: forward, right, or left. Right was another half-lit hallway about half as wide as the last, but still plenty big enough for the goblins to follow. Left led into a tight, dark hall that'd be way too thin for the bulldozer. Oh, he's not calling it a tractor anymore. He's calling it a bulldozer.
The goblin murder dozer.
Yes, the obvious choice would be to flee down the dark hallway. I paused. It was too obvious of a choice. So he's already in game theory mode. It was, we've gone into full anime. I'm going to call it out. He is in a critical, has no time to think moment, but we're pausing to get into his head for 5 minutes to think through the game theory of his battle choices and strategy. It was too obvious a choice. I sensed another trap. I couldn't go straight because the next junction was too far away, and the machine would catch me for sure. I turned right. Donut followed, choosing to stay by my side, which was very un-donut-like behavior. This hall was only as wide as a regular road with a smooth 15-foot ceiling. Green, lichen-like growths glowed on the brick walls and ceilings, giving the tunnel an odd glow. Behind me, the goblins squealed as they struggled to maneuver the murder dozer. The thing had a wide turning radius, and it would take them at least a minute to pursue. Good choice. Ahead, another group of junctions appeared, but just before the intersection, I spied a single, plain wooden door built into the wall. A simple sign was attached to the wall above the door. The words were painted the same color as the dark red bricks of the wall, and I could barely read it. It read, Tutorial Guild. The words were in that same odd language. The moment I read the sign, a glowing green box appeared highlighting the name. New achievement! You've discovered and read an official dungeon sign. Wow! You can read! Whoopee! Reward. All official dungeon signage will now be highlighted and easier to spot. Nearby guilds will appear on your mini-map. Okay, so this is the game designer going, ha ha ha, the joke of that first sign was on you. That wasn't an official sign, idiot. But we didn't tell you, but now we're telling you that we're going to tell you when there is official signage. Jesus Christ. Okay, so it is out there. There is official signage and there is unofficial signage. Unofficial signage, trust it at your own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nearby guilds will appear on your mini-map. A mini-map. I really needed to figure this out. Behind me, the murder dozer had gotten stuck on the corner, and one of the level 2 goblins was shouting and beating on the pot helmet of the engineer with what looked like a stick. The third looked at me and shook a fist. Would they follow me into the guild? I didn't know. I grasped the brass door handle and tried to turn it. It didn't open. Locked. What the hell? I said. I banged on the wooden door. Hey! I called. Is there anybody there? The 2 level 2 goblins seemed to give up on waiting for the bulldozer to negotiate the tight turn, and they hopped off and started jogging toward me. They were unarmored, but both wielded what appeared to be wooden sticks with a pineapple on the end of it. They'd catch up in a minute. Next to me, Donut started to growl and hiss. From behind the door, I heard the rattling of chains and turning of locks. The door cracked, only pulling open partway. A single chain remained, keeping the door from opening further. A bearded rat-like creature appeared in the doorway. I could barely make out his features, but he was about a head shorter than me. So taller than the goblins, but not by much. What do you want? The voice said. You mobs ain't allowed in here. You know that. Hey, this is a tutorial guild, right? The thing said I was supposed to go in here. The eye widened as it looked at me. You're a crawler? Wait. The rat creature stepped back as if to get a better look at me. I was immediately reminded of Master Splinter, the rat sensei from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You are! By his left tit. Oh, by his left tit! opened up and I didn't even notice. I must have slept through the announcement. Nobody tells old Mordecai anything. There used to be a newsletter. It was delivered every few cycles, reliable as can be. But then it just stopped. Budget cuts, I'm guessing. They're always cutting corners. I thought we weren't opening for another 2 years. Hey, let me in, I interrupted. I turned to face the two goblins who jogged to a stop. One moved to my left, the other moved to cut off my retreat. Open the damn door, I cried. One of the goblins said something to the rat man behind the door, whose name appeared to be Mordecai. I couldn't understand the goblin language. It was grunts and squeaks. Mordecai responded in the goblin language. They both laughed. Sorry, Crawler, you took too long, Mordecai said through the chain door. I can't open up if there are mobs directly outside. Rules are rules. I took too long, I said. I moved to a fighting stance. One of the goblins fainted, swinging at me with his club. The pineapple at the end of the club fell off when he swung it, and it hit the ground with a splat. The goblin cursed and kicked it away. I took a step back. Donut stood between my legs, hissing and spitting. At least tell me how to open these damn loot boxes. Mordecai was silent for a moment, as if he was contemplating on whether or not to tell me. It's in the awards and boxes tab of your inventory menu, the rat man said, but you can't access it yet, kid. How do I get access to the inventory menu then? The second goblin, the one who still had a pineapple on the end of his stick, I love that that's how we are identifying goblins now, swung at me, missing by a wide margin. Okay, so higher level than Carl, but still not strong. Up close, the goblins looked much like they did in movies and video games. Short, green, mostly bald with pointed ears, angular faces, and sharp teeth. I briefly wondered on that. It seemed the aliens, or whatever, knew a whole lot about Earth mythology and lore. Far behind him, the murder dozer had finally backed up properly and had straightened out. It rumbled down the hallway toward us. Yeah, you gotta complete the tutorial. Oh my god. Okay. So these are living beings. These are not...
Yes.
And they existed before this.
Yes.
They were teleported or placed down here somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. They have their own language. They understand each other. The monsters and helpful NPCs seem to not necessarily be at odds with one another and be defined by their relationship to the crawlers, but have a non-adversarial relationship towards one another.
Yeah.
But there's rules like, oh, I can't let you in here because my coworkers are nearby.
Yes.
I like them. I'll talk to them and laugh with them. I'll tell a joke, but yeah, no can do, buddy. Rules are rules.
As frustrated as you are, Carl is infinitely more frustrated.
I think it's extremely ironic that Mordecai is a rat person, given that we have Donut with us.
Yep.
Incredible.
I mean, a huge rat person.
Yeah. Like a foot short, just a foot, a head shorter than Carl.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you gotta complete the tutorial. The pineapple goblin, we're calling him for shorthand, swung at me again. I waited until the club passed the apex of its arc and stepped in. So we have a little bit of combat experience because we were in the armed forces.
Yeah, he was in the, the Coast Guard or whatever.
The Coast Guard, yeah. So he's received some combat training.
Yeah.
And he is perceptive and reactive enough to be able to move in the moment the apex of a swing has passed. I hit the goblin square in the nose with a jab and then a left hook. Okay, so we know how to box to its right temple. It crumpled to the ground in a heap. A bar appeared over the creature's head the moment I hit it. A health bar, I realized. It hadn't appeared until it took damage. The bar went down more than halfway, turning from green to red. The goblin had more than half of its life drained. You mean, yeah, I punched it and then the system removed half of its health. No, Carl, you punched it for more than half of the ability or force it takes to kill it.
Yep.
Uh-huh. I'd clocked it pretty good, but not that good. Oh, interesting. It was like I just punched a 10-year-old. The second goblin looked at his friend, open-mouthed, then turned and ran back towards the dozer. So there's either a morale mechanic or the goblins are alive, as I suspect, and they don't want to die. If they're not confident they can win.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But despite their level being like level 2, they're also just really weak creatures. And it is a lot like whenever you're playing,
Right. Right.
Yeah, one of
Well,
these games
my
where
guess
it's like
is
the first mobs you come across are weak as shit, so you can get XP.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's more to learn here, but I'm so interested in this like assessment of level and stats. Like, can stats be increased, or are your stats just going to be the same because that's your physical strength, that's your intellect, that's your social skills.
Wait for you to keep breathing.
I know, but also like, so is it judging these goblins as stronger than an average human, which it deems to be like an average human to be level 1, and their ability with a weapon like a stick with a pineapple on it to be able to kill a human?
Well, we don't know what Carl's stats are yet. We know
correct,
that he's a human who is level 1. We know that
with
these
no
goblins
class.
are level 2, but we don't know what their strength stats are. So we don't know. We don't have the full picture yet.
Yeah.
And
my guess is there's going to be some sort of supernatural ability to become stronger, or maybe a not supernatural way to become stronger. I don't know, but it's intriguing.
He does have loot. That's all I'm going to say.
That's true. He has a weapon. He has clothes. He has some other stuff. He has pet supplies. My fists ached. I hadn't been in an actual physical fight in years. Most of my time as a Coast Guardsman was aboard a cutter as an MK, a technician. I was never involved face-to-face with any sort of real law enforcement. That said, most people I encountered who'd never been in the service didn't realize that we trained as much as we did. People thought of us as glorified lifeguards. They had no idea how much we trained in hand-to-hand combat. How the hell do I do that if you don't open the door? I yelled as I kicked the downed goblin in the ribs. I felt a satisfying crunch. Can't you just let me have access now? It doesn't work that way, kid, Mordecai said. We can't just have untrained crawlers wandering around the dungeon, you know? Besides, you can't open boxes until you're in a safe zone. And unless you're a complete idiot, you can probably guess you're not in a safe zone right now. The goblin's health bar had moved deeper into the red, but he wasn't dead yet. A distant part of me seemed horrified that I was planning on killing this thing. Despite his weapon, he was incredibly easy to hurt. But one glance up at the bulldozer, which had stopped to pick up the second goblin, relieved me of any potential regret. Okay, I like this. He's like, I don't want to kill someone that I'm just like kicking down on the ground. Oh, wait, God, but there's a murder machine barreling at me. Fuck. I put my hands on either side of the unconscious goblin's head. Oh, wow. It's unconscious, even though it's not at, quote, 0 HP. And I smashed down on the stones. I smashed down again and again until the health bar completely drained away. Hey, hey, Mordecai yelled. Hey, stop! Whose side are you on anyway? Whose side are you on anyway? I asked, whirling on the creature. But then I realized the rat wasn't talking to me. You can't come in here, he was saying, his back now turned. Donut. He was talking to the goddamned cat. She had decided she'd had enough of this hallway and wandered into the guild through the cracked door. A whole wall of new achievement notifications appeared, along with a couple other new notifications. But instead of auto-playing like they did before, they appeared as little messages in the upper left of my screen. I sensed I could mentally click on them, but not now. The AI or whatever the hell was running this circus seemed to know that right now was not an opportune time to cover up half my line of sight with game bullshit. Wise. Uh, which was funny because that achievement pop-up of, hey, you've discovered a trap was kind of the thing that got him to stop and not get completely killed. That's interesting to me. Not with the real danger barreling down on me. Open the fucking door, I cried. Kid, get your creature, Mordecai said, turning toward me, a strange hint of panic in the rat's voice. I'll get in trouble if they find out I let a crawler sneak in against the rules. Open the door, I repeated. Look, it's clear, but it won't be in about 5 seconds. Let me in. The door slammed. The last chain rustled, and then it opened all the way. I rushed inside just as the murder dozer barreled by, rolling directly over the bloody corpse of their friend. The brakes screamed, but the dozer continued its forward momentum, sliding on the body as it smeared down the hallway. The two goblins turned and met my eyes as I flipped them both off. They squealed in rage as I slammed the door. Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh man. Mordecai is worried about being in trouble with the admins of the game.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
What do you
Oh,
think? Just gut reaction. What do you think?
This is great. This is like it's like a mystery novel wrapped in video games and death games and there's a lot of like gamified fiction out there, like what is it, like Percy Jackson and the Infinity. I don't know. And the
Rick Riordan or whatever, he wrote those, I think.
Yeah, doesn't he like go into like a huge hedge maze or something in the first book? I don't know anything about Percy Jackson.
Actually, I did read the Percy Jackson books, but like a long time ago. I don't remember much from them, but it's not lit RPG as such, not in the same way that this is, to like a very literal sense. But yeah, it is very he's reenacting the Greek mythos, like fighting a minotaur and going through the maze and meeting these Greek heroes. So in a way it's a little bit like that. There's so much more to come. I so desperately want to just tell you all of the things.
I know you do. I am planning on actually reading this, so please don't. But I'm just now realizing that the tagline at the top of the first book is "The apocalypse will be televised."
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's look at the rest of these.
And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is available on Kindle Unlimited if you have a subscription to that.
Wow.
But I read a lot. Like I read a lot. I think I read like 197 books last year or something like that, because it like keeps track of you on Kindle, how many books you read in that year. That's a mantar. Half human. So yeah, like, but these books, it was one of those things like where, because I read so much, I only really buy or purchase the books where I know that I'm going to want to read them again. And I've already started rereading this series, even though I just finished reading it. Because there's a lot of things that I missed the first time around when I was reading it. Because it's like really exciting. So, like you said, it would probably hit a lot harder if you just like powered through and read it, right? Like, so as you're reading it, you get caught up in all of the action. And you don't I mean, I can't really speak for everybody, but I don't necessarily sit with what I just read. I'm just like, what is going on in the next chapter? And I just like power through it. So on the reread, there were things that um, came up that I didn't realize came up initially that are sort of like things that are like peppered through that come up in later books. Like he's good at doing like callbacks to concepts that have been introduced earlier on. And he writes in such a way that it makes you feel like he's had this whole thing plotted out. But he is a self-proclaimed pantser, and you're just like, this man is just like a fucking genius or something. Like the way he writes, you think, okay, he's had this all worked out in his head all this time, but he hasn't. It's just this is it's just really great
I
fiction.
mean, great writers have a way of making you feel like, oh, well, this is the only way it could have gone, and it was telegraphed. But
Holy crap, it's
I'm
on
still
sale right now?
surprised. Huh?
How much for the whole series?
Oh, sorry. Let me look at the all 7 bundle. I'm like looking. Oh, this is. Oh, he's got
It's the
much longer
seventh book.
hair here. And
Yeah.
also his sex doll head has vampire teeth. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was
Um,
uh
this
they're still
inevitable
to come, don't
ruin.
worry.
Oh, there's more books to come.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this was published like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Book
It's
7.
fantastic.
Okay.
And it says it's like $5.99 right now or something like
All
that.
of
It's
them
76% off. That's
together are
crazy.
$39 on Kindle. Um, I don't have a Kindle and I don't have an audiobook app. So,
Well, you can download the Kindle app
yes.
on your
Yes.
phone. It doesn't cost anything, and you can download the Audible app. And I'm not joking when I say I'm going to offer you the same thing that my brother offered to me. I'll fucking PayPal you the money to buy the series like right now. It's that good. I
I'm
love it.
good. I can afford this myself. But if any of you listening or watching want to make a new best friend who will buy you Dungeon Crawler Carl, hit up Shannon.
How
Uh,
dare you? Yeah,
um, look at this character. She's like an undead zombie lady. Um, her
she's like a
tits,
monarch
her
butterfly.
tits are covered by an arm. First of all, thank you. But she still looks sexy. She's got monarch butterfly wings that look like they're on fire. Um,
She's a healer.
Rumble, I didn't know you've been here for 90 minutes because this was the first time you've said anything. Welcome, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I love all the tattoos Carl appears to have. Man.
Oh God. Again, you're noticing all of these really wonderful things that I want to tell you everything about. And
Whoa.
I just can't because again, it's part of the story. You have such a keen eye. You're like picking up all of these really great little details
Yeah.
that are 100%. It's like nothing is wasted. Like there's no extraneous, like, wouldn't it be cool if we had this thing blowing up and it doesn't mean anything for the story?
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
all tied, the artwork is like all tied into the story. It's
Um,
mm,
yeah. So the last detail I'm noticing, well, besides the fact that there's an ornithopter sky vehicle and a dragon with
mhm.
horse legs in the air.
It's a goat. It's a goat.
Oh, it's the dragon goat from Shrek. Um,
Sure.
the other thing I'm noticing, they have a goblin running with them and a
Uh-huh.
minotaur. Oh, and a dinosaur. Okay, I have thoughts. I'm not gonna verbalize about this. But the other thing I'm noticing is there's like a laser pointer from this tower. Like he's being targeted by a sniper or something, or there's a sniper covering him.
Ooh.
Very interesting. This was really fun. I enjoyed reading this. I will definitely be reading more. I like how quickly we're moving. I love how Matt Dinniman is just setting up pins to knock them down in the long, what seems like lots of short-term pins to immediately knock down, but also you've alluded to some things that I'm picking up on that are going to get knocked down well into the future.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing another title page here. Oh, let me minimize this. That says "Survive with Style." Oh, Matt Dinniman, the same dude who wrote Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon. What the
That one's
fuck?
pretty gruesome. That one,
Uh,
it's pretty gruesome.
I would imagine it's a kaiju's tale. Of course, it's going to be
Yeah,
hyper gruesome and destructive.
it's really bad.
Um,
Not, I mean, like amazing, but like
this art
rough.
is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh God,
Oh my
so
god.
good.
All right. So I do you have anything else you want to say about the series or about these first two chapters before we wrap?
I guess just that it gets so much better. Like as good as the first two chapters were, it is exponentially better. And then you
Mm.
think like how are they going to top that? You know what I mean? You get to the end of the first book, you're like, there's no way anything could be better than that. And then the second book is even fucking better. And it just keeps building and building. And you're just like, how is this going to end? It's crazy. And it just like the action and like the suspense and it's so captivating and it's explosive and it's hilarious. And also like you really grow to care about these characters. And while you know them on a surface level at this point, you know, Donut's a cat and Carl is a human man and, you know, that's his ex-girlfriend's cat and she's kind of an asshole. Like as the story continues with the backdrop of the dungeon and their lives being in mortal peril, it they scratch away little layers at a time. He spoon feeds you little bits of Carl's background, a tiny,
Mm.
tiny little bit at a time.
I
Same
like
thing, like
that.
little things about Donut, a little bit at a time. And you just think like, I want more of that. I want to know about that. And you're like, he has to write the next book. I want to know more about this. And you know, you're like, I'm not going to
Mm.
get any more in this book, so I know that he's going to put it in the next book, maybe. And uh, no, I'm just like fangirling super hard about it. He was in Portland
Oh,
in November.
really?
He came to the Powells here.
Probably right around the
Uh,
time that the most recent book came out.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And also they did a release of the hardbacks at that
Oh,
time, and they released
nice.
the first three. So whenever they release the next three, he'll do another signing. But when I'd asked the guy at Pals about it, he was like, I was like, oh no, I missed Matt Dinniman, and he was like, Matt who? I was like, Matt Dinniman. He wrote Dungeon Crawler Carl, and he was like, oh. It was an exceptional turnout and it was kind of a rowdy one at that, I think. So yeah, it's a very passionate fan base he has for this series. So I really hope you love them. And like honestly, text me. I don't care what time of day or night it is. I want to know what chapter
Yeah.
you're on and what like where you got in the
Um,
reading.
I am on the chapter summary page of the Dungeon Crawler Carl wiki. I was interested in how many chapters the first book has. It's 47.
Yeah.
So we've barely scratched the surface of the first book. But I also spoiled for myself what level Carl reaches and what floor Carl reaches by the end of the first book. Very exciting stuff. I'm surprised. Color me surprised by both of
Yep.
those facts.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't spoil anymore.
I will not. I'm closing it. Oops, I opened the wrong thing. But yeah, that's really interesting. Um,
Thank you so much
yeah,
for doing this. This was really fun.
yeah. Thank you, Shannon, for joining me on this little adventure as I dive into this world you're so passionate about. I
I
look
love it.
forward to reading and talking more about the books. I think I need to be more engaged on my Discord server. I think I will create some additional channels and threads where we can talk about this book and
Awesome.
sections of the book. Um,
I think you're
yeah.
also going to have to create a separate channel just for Andy's
Oh yeah, his Perdita Street Station
Perdita
or
Street.
other
Yeah.
China Mieville stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
read the first couple chapters of that of Perdita Street Station, and it was intense the way that they talked
It
about
really
the
is.
unmade uh
Ugh.
species. It's gross.
It
It's
really is.
disturbing. And I don't know. I just was like, I could read this and enjoy it. I'm sure I would, or I could engage in anything else. That's less disturbing. Um,
Sure.
it's good. It's good. It's really good. I will return to it. I think the energy it takes to read it live for the first time and
Oh
process it,
yeah.
uh, it's hard to not be able to like just put the book down and process my thoughts and feelings before picking it back up if I'm doing it live and in the moment.
Yeah.
It's just really really challenging, and I might have to read the chapters and do more of like recap and react than read and
Fair.
react
Yeah.
like we did here. So
Oh, definitely get the
yeah,
audiobook also.
for
I know.
Perdido.
No, for
Oh, for
Dungeon Crawler
yeah.
Carl.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it just makes it better. The book itself is already wonderful, but having the audio along with it, it really
Yeah.
it's
I'm gonna I think listen to a preview of it just so I can get a sense of that author's voice. But I
fair
am
enough.
excited to check that out too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've been going for like 2 hours on these first two chapters, but boy, are they bangers. We might, Shannon, if you want, we could do recap and reacts of the first book maybe in the future. We'll see,
Oh
huh?
hell yeah.
Yeah, that could be really fun. But probably not looking at every single line and paragraph, and
Maybe
more of
not.
the
We
exciting
can
moments.
highlight some things you want to talk about.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to call it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And we'll see you next time on Fable Table Presents Read and React. Bye.
Bye.